Every Pagani evolution explained. Today we're showing you how Pagani went from 408 horsepower to 864 horsepower, building cars so crazy they make Ferraris look boring. Zonda C12. First up is the 1999 Zonda C12. This is where it all started. Horacio Pagani wanted to call it the Fangio F1 after his racing hero. When Juan Manuel Fangio died, he renamed it after the Zonda winds that tear across Argentina. That was a good call. The C12 had a Mercedes M120 V12 making 408 horsepower. That's less than a modern Mustang GT, but the whole car weighed just 1,250 kilograms. Everything was carbon fiber. Pagani learned carbon fiber working at Lamborghini on the Countach. He left because they wouldn't let him use more advanced materials. Mercedes initially refused to sell him engines. It took years of persistence before they agreed. The engine came from the S600 but was modified extensively. Only 5 were ever built. 0 to 100 in 4.2 seconds, top speed around 298 kilometers per hour. This sounds slow now, but this was 1999. Ferrari's F355 made 375 horsepower. The Zonda looked like it came from the future. That quad exhaust was pure art. The interior looked like someone ripped out a fighter jet cockpit and covered it in Italian leather. Each gauge was individually machined from billet aluminum. The steering wheel took 40 hours to hand-stitch. One C12 survived Pagani's own crash testing. They restored it and it still runs today. Zonda C12S. Pagani wasn't done though. 2000 brought the C12S with a 7.0-liter AMG V12. It made 550 horsepower. Sprint time dropped to 3.7 seconds to 100. Top speed jumped to 335 kilometers per hour. The C12S added early traction control and ABS. This was the first Pagani with electronic aids. A 6-speed gearbox replaced the original 5-speed. Shift quality improved dramatically. AMG bored out the original engine significantly for this power increase. Zonda S 7.3. Then 2002 happened. We got the Zonda S 7.3. AMG made the engine 7.3 liters. Power only went up slightly to 555 horsepower, but torque hit 750 Newton meters. Pagani cared more about torque than peak power. That was smart thinking. The 7.3 felt completely different to drive. It had massive low-end punch that could break traction in third gear. Drivability improved with standard traction control. The 7.3 also gave us the first Zonda Roadster in 2003. Most manufacturers add 100 kilograms when they chop the roof off. Pagani added just 30. How did he do it? Internal bracing instead of reinforcing the whole chassis. He used ingenious A-pillar strengthening. A thicker windshield took structural loads. Chassis rigidity stayed identical to the coupe. This was an engineering masterpiece hidden from view. 40 S Roadsters were built. Each one sounded like the apocalypse with that quad exhaust. The soft top folded manually in 30 seconds. No motors, just mechanical precision. The Roadster amplified the incredible V12 sound even more. Zonda F 2005 brought us the Zonda F. It was finally named for Fangio. This wasn't just more power, this was a complete reimagining. The AMG M297 V12 got new everything. New intake, exhaust, ECU. It made 602 horsepower in the coupe, 650 in the Roadster. But Pagani had discovered aerodynamics. Wind tunnel testing at Dallara changed everything. The F looked angry. It had a huge rear wing, deep front splitter, vents everywhere. Carbon ceramic brakes became standard. These were 380mm discs from Brembo. Track testing showed massive improvements. Lap times dropped by seconds at Fiorano. Only 25 F coupes were built. The Roadster F was even rarer and weighed just 5 kilograms more than the coupe. It used high-strength A-pillar braces and a thicker windshield instead of heavy reinforcements. Pagani's chassis engineer spent months perfecting the structure. Each Roadster took 50% longer to build. Hand-forming the roof mechanism alone required master craftsmen. The F was the first truly track-focused road, Zonda. Zonda R. Then Pagani went completely nuts. 2007 brought us the Zonda R. It shared less than 10% of parts with any road car. This was a pure track weapon with a 6.0-liter Mercedes-AMG GT 112 V12 from the CLK GTR race car. It made 750 horsepower and weighed 1,070 kilograms. It was basically a Formula car with a body. The R used a sequential gearbox with pneumatic shifts. This was the same system as Formula One cars. It had a carbon titanium monocoque with integrated roll cage. Aerodynamics generated 1,400 kilograms of downforce at speed. That's more than the car's own weight. The R started breaking records immediately. It lapped the Nürburgring in 6 minutes 47 seconds. That beat Ferrari's track-focused 599XX. That record stood for years. Professional racing drivers called it terrifying to drive. Here's the funny thing about Pagani and racing though. They absolutely suck at it. Their Le Mans attempt in 2003 lasted 1 hour before the gearbox exploded. The R was built for track days, not racing wheel to wheel. That was probably for the best. 15 Rs were built at 1.3 million euros each. Every owner needed racing instruction to drive it safely. The sequential gearbox required specific driving techniques to avoid damage. Zonda R Evoluzione. Pagani also built the R Evoluzione in 2012 with 760 horsepower. This was an evolution of the original R with more power and refined aerodynamics. The engine was tuned beyond the standard R's 750 horsepower. Only one prototype was ever built and shown at Goodwood. Pagani used it as a testbed for future technologies. The aerodynamics were more aggressive than the standard R. It featured updated bodywork and enhanced cooling systems. It was the stepping stone between the R and what came next. The Evoluzione tested many concepts that appeared on the Revolution. Zonda Revolution. The R evolved into the 2013 Revolution with 800 horsepower and the first DRS rear wing on a production-derived car. Only 5 were built plus one prototype. The DRS system was copied directly from Formula 1. The rear wing opened on straights, closed for corners. The driver controlled it with steering wheel buttons. The engine made 50 horsepower more than the standard R. The Revolution was the ultimate naturally aspirated Zonda with race-derived technology. Zonda C12. Limited editions kept pushing further. The 2009 Zonda C12 had 678 horsepower and the world's first 100 millisecond paddle shifts. 5 were built, plus 5 roadsters. Carbon titanium chassis panels saved massive weight. The new automated manual gearbox felt like a race car. Each shift was faster than human reactions. The C12 introduced early active aerodynamic elements that previewed future innovations. Zonda Tricolore. The Tricolore honored Italy's aerobatic team. It had a blue body, Italian flag stripes, and a pitot tube on the nose to measure airspeed like a real plane. Pagani worked directly with the Frecce Tricolore pilots. They advised on the aerodynamic details. The pitot tube actually worked for airspeed measurement. This was the only car ever built with functional aircraft instruments. Only 3 customer cars were built plus 1 prototype, making it incredibly rare. Zonda HP Barchetta. The final Zonda variants were pure art. The 2017 HP Barchetta had no roof, no windshield, fixed wheel covers. 3 were built as Horacio's 60th birthday gift to himself. Each one was unique with different color schemes. Asymmetric wheel colors became a signature. One had blue and gold wheels, another featured silver and black. The third was all carbon fiber. The design was inspired by 1950s Italian racing Barchettas like the Ferrari 166 MM. Zonda Revo Barchetta. Then 2019 brought the Zonda Revo Barchetta. This was a one-off combining the HP Barchetta's open top with the Revolution's 800 horsepower engine and extreme aero. It was the most ridiculous Zonda ever. The fixed front splitter was wider than the car. The rear wing generated enough downforce to theoretically drive upside down. This represented the absolute peak of Zonda development and engineering extremism. Huayra. But 2012 brought Pagani's real revolution. This was the Huayra. It was named after an Andean wind god. This was completely different from Zonda philosophy. It used a Mercedes-AMG M158 twin-turbo V12. It made 730 horsepower and 1,000 Newton-meters. The innovation was active aerodynamics. 4 carbon fiber flaps adjusted constantly for downforce and drag. Each flap moved independently based on speed, steering angle, and throttle position. The computer-controlled system made 1,000 calculations per second. This was the first production car with real active aero. It beat McLaren to it. Pagani spent 3 years developing the system. Wind tunnel testing consumed months. Each flap position was mapped for every driving scenario. The single-clutch automated manual was controversial but saved 40% weight versus dual-clutch. Pagani obsessed over details. It had hand-stitched leather, aircraft-inspired aluminum vents, butterfly doors. Door hinges alone cost 50,000 euros to develop. Each one was machined from solid aluminum. The Huayra was a grand tourer that could demolish tracks. The active aero system was revolutionary for its time. Huayra Roadster. 2017 brought the Huayra Roadster. It had the same twin-turbo V12, but tuned to 764 horsepower. It lost the gull-wing doors and gained conventional doors and removable roof panels. It somehow weighed 80 kilograms less than the coupe. Removing the roof structure saved massive weight. Carbon hardtop panels stored in custom bags. The soft-top mechanism was purely manual. Pagani refused to add motors for weight savings. The Roadster's increased power came from revised exhaust routing. Huayra BC. Track variants followed the same pattern. The 2016 Huayra BC lost 132 kilograms and added massive aero. Carbon triax fiber was 20% lighter than regular carbon. The titanium exhaust alone saved 7 kilograms. The interior was stripped of all non-essentials. Even passenger airbags were deleted. It set the Monza road car lap record. The time was 2 minutes 52 seconds around the full circuit. The BC was named after Benny Caiola, Pagani's first customer, Huayra Roadster BC. But the 2019 Huayra Roadster BC was absolutely insane. It made 802 horsepower, 1,050 Newton-meters, and featured Pagani's first dual-clutch transmission. This was a 7-speed PDK-style gearbox from X-Track. It shifted in 150 milliseconds under full power. Limited to 40 units, it was the fastest roadster they'd ever built. Active Aero generated 500 kilograms of downforce at 280 kilometers per hour. The dual-clutch system required extensive cooling modifications to handle the power. Huayra Imola. The 2020 Imola had 838 horsepower with Aero generating 1.5 tons of downforce. It was named after the circuit where it was developed. It lapped the Nürburgring in 7 minutes, 29 seconds. This was one of the fastest production cars ever recorded. 6 were built, each tested 16,000 kilometers at Imola circuit. Horacio Pagani personally drove every test kilometer. The Imola represented the absolute peak of street-legal Huayra performance. Huayra Tricolor. The same year brought the Huayra Tricolor. This was another Italian Air Force tribute with 840 horsepower. Only 3 customer cars were built plus a prototype. The clear blue body showed the carbon weave underneath. The paint alone took 200 hours per car. Italian flag stripes were hand-painted by artists. Each Tricolor featured unique interior details inspired by military aircraft. Huayra R. The 2021 Huayra R was the track-only Zonda R successor. It had a naturally aspirated 850 horsepower V12 revving to 9,000 RPM. HWA AG built the engine from scratch. No turbochargers, just pure, naturally aspirated sound. The redline was at 9,000 RPM like a Formula 1 car. 30 were planned for track fanatics. Each one cost 2.6 million euros. The naturally aspirated engine provided a completely different character from turbocharged versions. Huayra Codalunga. Then 2022 got weird with the Huayra Codalunga. 6 units had extended tails 360 millimeters longer than normal. It looked like a 1960s Le Mans car. It made 840 horsepower with lower drag and higher top speed. The long tail reduced drag by 12%. Top speed increased to over 370 kilometers per hour. The styling was inspired by the Porsche 917 Longtail. Each Codalunga took 8 months to hand build. The extended bodywork required completely new manufacturing processes. Huayra Imola Roadster. 2023 brought the Huayra Imola Roadster. It had all the Imola's 850 horsepower and extreme aero in convertible form. Only 8 were built. It featured removable roof panels with structural roll hoops. This was an engineering challenge keeping rigidity without the roof. The convertible maintained virtually all the coupe's performance characteristics. Utopia. Pagani's biggest evolution came in 2022. This was the Utopia. After decades of automated transmissions, Pagani brought back the manual. This wasn't just any manual. It had 7 speeds with a triple-plate clutch handling 1,100 Newton-meters. Clutch development took 2 years. The triple-plate system distributed loads evenly. The clutch pedal felt surprisingly light. It made 864 horsepower from a twin-turbo V12. This was peak Mercedes AMG before hybridization takes over. Development took over 4,000 design sketches. Horacio drew every detail by hand first. The interior has a central touch that looks like a luxury watch. The gear selector works like a watch crown. Each gauge was individually crafted like jewelry. HVAC vents were machined from solid aluminum billets. This was the most advanced and most traditional Pagani ever. The manual transmission was a bold statement against industry trends. Utopia Roadster. 2024 added the Utopia Roadster. It had the same 864 horsepower and same manual option with a removable carbon hardtop. Only 130 will be built versus 100 coupes. The convertible mechanism was purely mechanical. There were no electric motors anywhere in the system. Carbon roof panels, store and custom-fitted bags. The Roadster maintained all the coupe's performance while adding open-air driving. Over 25 years, Pagani mastered building extreme cars by hand like art, making each one feel more like a fighter jet than a car. If you enjoyed this video, like and subscribe for more car breakdowns. See you in the next video.